Hey guys, Pastor Scott coming to you today. Listen, I'm just thankful today for what God has done in my life and done in the life of our church at Relevant. And so I want to take today and just thank Him for the things that He's given us by the way of instruments to do ministry. And I want to talk to you about something today that's quite ugly, and that's our bus. You see this bus? Man, if you were looking for a bus, it wouldn't be this bus. You just pass it on by. It's got a look at that old busted up hood. Paint's all messed up. Look about those ugly colors. Looks like a Christmas tree going down the road. Got the gold and the green and the burgundy stripe down the side, and it's just not pretty to look at. And we were looking for a bus. You know, some people would have passed us on by, but we stopped and looked at it closer because we want to see what was on the inside. And as we looked on the inside, we saw something amazing, and it's that this bus only has 55,000 original miles on it, and it runs and drives like a brand new one. The inside has been taken care of exceptionally, and it will go anywhere, and it has. This bus has been used as a crazy good instrument for a Relevant Church to go all kinds of places. Relevant Church has two locations, and East Side and West Side both have used this bus to go to Gatlinburg, to Pigeon Forge, to Myrtle Beach, just all kind of places. And it's never given us a minute problem. And it reminds me of the Christian today. Here's what I mean. Today we have a problem. Is we judge people by how they appear on the outside. We look at their clothes, we look at the type of clothes they're wearing. Perhaps it's the way they smell. They don't smell like we do, or we're concerned about what they drive, and those type of things. And we distance ourselves from those people because they don't fit the criteria that we think they ought to. But that reminds me of something. It reminds me of this guy named Saul. Saul was a guy who persecuted Christians. He was a crazy devout Jew. He was all engrossed in Judaism. And man, he was in love with God, but he couldn't stand Jesus. Matter of fact, he hated Jesus, and he persecuted Christians all over. Even sentenced those Christians to death, men, women, and children. But one day something happened that God saw Saul for the person that was on the inside and his potential and what he could use him for as an instrument for his own good. Not what was on the outside. Because quite frankly, if you look at Saul, he was not pleasant to look at, just like this old bus. Saul was, historically, we learned that Saul was about 4 foot 6 inches tall. He had a big old hooked nose. He had a bad back, so he's bent over like this all the time. His face was all scarred and beat up from being beat up over time. But God saw something in him through all the ugliness on the outside that he could use. And so as Paul was going to Damascus one day, he had his posse with him, and he was going there to persecute Christians. And on his way, Jesus Christ showed himself to Paul by the way of a light. And the light came and shone all around him, and Paul recognized that this light was the Lord. And he says, "Who are you, Lord?" And a voice from heaven comes out of that light. He says, "It is Jesus, the one whom you are persecuting." And so Jesus gave Saul scale-like things over his eyes to blind him. And I suggest to you today, that's the changing of Paul's life. Then all of a sudden, he goes into Damascus as instructed by Jesus, and as he goes there, a guy named Ananias comes and relieves him of those scales on his eyes and restores his sight. And in doing so, it changed Paul completely. He now believed in Jesus Christ. As a matter of fact, he went on to be the most amazing evangelist, the most amazing pastor the world had ever known. Wrote 13 books of the New Testament. So you see, God saw in Saul something that nobody else saw. God saw in Saul potential. He saw on him on the inside what nobody else was looking at because the outside. We need to do that. We have got to stop judging people for for what they look like. We got to stop judging people for where they live. We got to stop judging people for the type of clothes they wear or how dirty those clothes may be. If they're drinking alcohol, they're in a relationship that we don't approve of, whatever it may be, we got to stop judging people because God sees something spectacular on the inside of those people. And if God sees that potential in that person, then He wants you to see that potential. He wants you to filter your judgment through the eyes of Christ to those people. Because you know what? Christ died for those people, and He loves those people. And He sees in them something great, whether they recognize it yet or not. So listen, that old ugly bus, it's going to leave here in 2 weeks, and it's going to go up the hill to Kentucky. And listen, it doesn't look like it'll make it there, but it'll get there. It'll take all 28 of those students straight up the hill to Kentucky for this mission trip all week long. You see, because we saw something in that bus that nobody else saw. And that's the potential to do great things. And that's what God sees in you. God sees the potential to do great things, because what's on the inside can be marvelous and can be a chosen instrument, as Paul was, for God's glory. Listen, we got to stop it. And we got to start loving people, because God loves people. We got to minister to everyone, not just a select few. Love you guys. See you later.